Hi, I'm Chloe Cerva, and this is Hey Bay City.
That was the hardest part of this, and you did it so well. Chloe, before we start talking, can we talk about your pretzels? Because you walked in, and I opened up this box for the first time, and I'm sorry, camera, this is not going to do it justice. But inside this are five delicious, fresh out of the oven pretzel prizes. Can you tell me what I'm looking at right now?
All right, we have the delicious original salt and butter.
Oh,
we have sesame garlic, which is my personal original favorite.
It smells amazing. Like I almost interrupted you just to like people listening to this. I'm sorry, you can't smell it, but I can. So we're just gonna take a moment.
It smells like garlic bread when you're baking it. Yeah. So it just like it makes me want like an Italian meal or something.
Yeah. What's this next one?
Confetti everything. It's basically an everything bagel. We have jalapeno cheddar, which is a cult classic. And then we have French onion. It's a special I do, and it's my favorite special. So I admitted to you embarrassingly that I've never had one of your pretzels, which is a shame. But I'm going to tell you that I did not expect this. Like I don't know if I expected like little like cookie size pretzels that are crunchy, but you came in like these. Each one of these is a meal. French onion, yes,
for example.
Yes.
So
that one especially. That one's like very filling.
How'd you come up with that? Were you just a French onion fan, and you're like, I could turn this into a bagel?
My mom actually came up with that one.
Oh, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, we brainstorm a lot, and she was like, "You have to do a French onion one. It'd be so good." Yeah. Growing up, she would always make French onion soup, so she helped me with that one, and I love it. It's probably one of my favorites.
My goodness. Mm-hmm. And these are fresh out of the oven too. You're not choking around.
Yeah.
We were kind of laughing that I do this for the food. Wouldn't it be great if you could bring over some pretzels? Yes, it would be great.
No problem.
So pretzels, but really you're from Portland. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Portland, because I've never been to Portland.
Really?
Were you born in Portland?
No.
How'd you end up there?
I was born in Saginaw, and I lived in Freeland growing up, and my family moved to Oregon when I was 19.
Oh, wow.
And I eventually moved out there. They moved out first. I was still going to school at Delta, and then I followed them.
Got to finish the school here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went to the coast at first. And I eventually moved up to Portland and stayed there for 10 years.
Dang. What's Oregon like for somebody that's never been there before? What is it like?
The parts where I lived were very beautiful. On the coast, especially, I lived right on the border of California and Oregon, right on the coast. So it's just gorgeous. Like,
yeah, my family's on the west side of Washington State.
Oh, okay.
And also gorgeous, also beautiful. But I really want to drive down to Oregon, because I mean, you hear so much about it, and it's kind of a different world out there.
Yeah. I lived kind of by the redwood forest too, which is a place I never thought I would be.
Especially like growing up in Freeland. You see trees that are maybe like 15 feet tall.
Yeah,
like, this is as big as it gets.
It's so mind-blowing and gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then Portland, it's cool because it's a smaller city, but it's close to a bunch of waterfalls, and the ocean's only like an hour away. Whoa. So it's really, really close to just be in nature, but also have a really cool city life as well.
Yeah, you get the best of both worlds, because usually you get one. If you get one, you don't get both.
Yeah.
Why the move from the coast to Portland?
Because I wanted to live in a city.
Yeah.
I was thinking either San Francisco or Portland, and it just seemed cooler.
Yeah. So from Freeland to the the natural majesty of the coast of Oregon to Portland. What were your impressions of Portland? You go kind of walking in there.
I moved there right when Portlandia came out.
Oh.
So I was very curious. Like, what is it really like this?
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah.
In what ways?
Well, part of the time they were filming while I was living there, so I kept running into them. Yeah. Just the people are very, I mean, they do make them caricatures of the people, but a lot of it is spot on. But I adore it. I really appreciate that, just everyone being who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, welcome to Portland. I am who I am.
Yeah, exactly. And they do not care what people think.
Yeah. So looking at 10 years you were there?
Mm-hmm.
So after 10 years of living there, like what's your take on Portland?
It's an amazing food city. I definitely learned how to eat there because I was a very picky eater growing up.
Yeah.
And I became friends with a lot of chefs there. The food scene's, honestly, it's just so good. So good.
It's interesting to me because you don't, at least I haven't heard of that part of Portland. Like you hear about some other kind of culinary scenes, but I mean, Portland being such kind of an interesting city and weird in the best possible way, it makes a lot of sense that chefs would kind of gravitate there and experiment and play with flavors, things like that.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah. So they brought you over from being a picky eater to being a little more adventurous?
Yeah, I did have a boyfriend for a while who was working at restaurants. So a lot of his chefs I would come into the restaurants and his chefs would be like, Chloe, try beef tongue for the first time, or mussels, or blood sausage, like just stuff I would never, ever, ever order. And I have the chef who made it looking at me, like handing it to me for free, like, try this.
Yeah. It's a little bit different if your boyfriend says, no, come on, it's just beef tongue.
Yeah.
And then the person who made it saying, I've made this for you.
Yeah, they're like intimidating too. So I'm like, okay, I will. But yeah, I definitely learned a lot about what I really like and what I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So Freeland, coast of Oregon to Portland. You were there for 10 years, having fun, exploring food. How'd you end up back to Bay City?
The pandemic.
Boo, pandemics. I mean, yay that you're here, but we could do without a pandemic.
Also, my grandparents, they were both sick, so I wanted just to be close and spend more time with them. So it was time. It was in the middle of a pandemic, and I realized my mom called me and told me that my grandpa had cancer. And that same day, I was supposed to sign a lease to a new apartment.
Oh, wow.
But instead, I got a flight home and moved home. So it was
That's
a very
incredible.
Spur of a moment, but I'm like, I just have to.
You're a good human.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a good human. I mean, I can say that from this perspective, but in the moment, like that, was it a tough decision? Was it an easy decision?
It was tough because, you want to be selfish and create the life that you want where you feel comfortable. But I had dealt with my grandma passing away prior and I wasn't there, and I still think about it. So I just knew I had to be there.
Yeah. So you come back during the pandemic. Is that when Pretzel Prize started? Was during pandemic, or?
Yeah, kind of.
How did it come to be? Did you just start playing around with some baked goods at home, or what?
So my timeline's a little weird. I moved back like February, March of 2020 originally. And then 9 months later, I moved back to Portland to like try to start again.
Yeah.
And that's when my mom called me and my grandpa. Yeah.
Okay.
But I was living with a friend in a very expensive house and I had to make rent and could not find a job anywhere. Most of the jobs that people have out there are service industry.
Yeah.
And no restaurants were open.
Yeah, right.
So I was baking every day just for fun. And my friend was like, I am buying you a 25-pound bag of flour and some butter and whatever you need. We're going to the store right now. And tomorrow you're going to bake something and you're going to give them to your friends. So I did that. I was like, no one wants to buy something from me. I don't, I'm just learning. And that morning I woke up at 5 a.m. and I just thought, like, what am I hungry for? What sounds good? And I just kept thinking salt and looked up a recipe for pretzels and looked in my fridge and I found like jalapenos and garlic and stuff. So I kind of just created that morning and I didn't have a car. So I would walk to my friends' houses or bus or ride my bike. And just gave them out for free for my friends, and word of mouth spread extremely fast. And a week later, I started my Instagram and started getting orders from strangers. Wow. And within a week, I made rent on time. So,
how did that feel? Like, here you are living in this house saying, like, I can't afford this. I need to do something. How did it make you feel that first time you made rent?
So good. I've never like put myself out there in that way, or had that much confidence in myself, or like I really didn't have the confidence at first. I just had to be brave and push myself to do it.
I mean, literally, you have a friend saying, Chloe, I'm buying you 25 pounds of flour and you're going to make something tomorrow and you're going to give it to us and we're going to love it. Like, and that's such a fun, it's such a fun like origin story because you assume like, I went to school for the culinary arts and I've always been intrigued by textures. But here you are, like, I'm a picky eater, chicken and cheese, grew up on it.
Yeah.
And that, like, you're not called to make pretzels. You haven't been crafting the finest pretzels for the last 27 years. Like, literally, you were kind of pushed into it and did something really great and people loved it.
Yeah. Thank you. I love it.
That
is what happened.
So Instagram took off.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? That
really fast. Within a week, I had strangers ordering from me, which is really cool. I had them just meet me at this like picnic table down the street. Like I would be like, I'm just here wearing this, and I'll just have a bunch of bags with me. And people would just like strangers would come buy them from me.
If you see a lady with bags of pretzels, that's me. I'm there for you.
And I would like draw. I'm a very creative person. So just like getting into designing it and making it my own little baby was fun.
Yeah.
I would like draw these pretzel people on all the bags and people just, I don't know, it's very cute. People were just very excited.
I mean, I want to give you credit because here you are starting this business because somebody bought you a bag of flour. But the brand of it is so good. Like Pretzel Prize, like, ooh, the name. And then you look at the design of it, of the kind of the creativity of it. It's very compelling. And it's different. You see a little bit of that like Portland influence. You're not getting like Grandma Joe's pretzels, like You're being yourself and you're being creative and it's fun and it's really good and it smells amazing. And so like all of those things combined to, you deserve that kind of reception.
It was very important to me to have it be as authentic to me as possible.
Yeah.
And how I like things. You
very much strike me as a person that, yes, this is a business. Mm-hmm. But you're also doing it for reasons other than that. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so.
Like almost like a form of expression and creativity. Like that comes first, and then if you want to buy my pretzels, cool.
Yeah, exactly. The pretzels are very good. I'm very proud of them.
Please buy her pretzels.
But yeah, like just making my posts on Instagram, making videos. Designing my logo and merch and pop-ups, and
Yeah.
all of it is super fun to me.
What's been the business thing that you've learned, like your biggest lesson so far?
Mm, probably time management for myself
yeah.
and talking to people.
And you're doing such a good job of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the time management, especially if you're inherently a creative person,
Yeah.
it's kind of an adjustment, and you kind of have to fight that battle because people want their pretzels at 9 a.m. when they said they were going to meet. It's like, yeah, but I'm not feeling inspired today.
Well, yeah, a lot of people will ask me if I will do pre-orders and orders on more days, and because I do it usually every Friday as a pickup.
Oh,
The way I have it set up is to create anticipation and to make people excited for Friday, and I like having time to myself the rest of the week. I get to spend time, like so much more time with my family. When I lived in Portland, I would only see my mom like once a year and my grandparents like every couple of years. So now it's like I finally have that time.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of it. Whereas like you can pick up every single day, and now you're very close to those people, but you're also seeing them once a year because you're constantly baking.
Yeah, exactly. I had thought of what it would be like if I owned a shop and I was there every day, and I'm not really sure how that would go. Yeah.
I agree with the scarcity part of it. My brother has a friend, and she's also huge on Instagram. She makes jewelry out on the West Coast, and like similar, but it's not even every Friday. It's like once a quarter.
Yeah.
She'll kind of announce, hey, on this day, I'm gonna open up the store, and like whatever's there is there. And I think that's a really beautiful way to go about it, because you're really creating a framework to operate your business on your own terms. Like it's similar to like I think is living out of an RV and travels with her family. Like that's a priority to her, and the jewelry allows that to happen. And so if you're like every single day I've got to be making stuff, you can't necessarily travel.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. I'm also really into travel. So
Are you?
Yeah.
Coolest place you've ever been?
I haven't really been as many places as I want to. I do love Puerto Rico, and I love New York City. But I want to take a big trip to Europe, and my sister-in-law is from Thailand, so I want to go there soon too.
Oh yeah, that'd be dope. New York City, I also love. A little bit scary. Like it's huge.
It is.
It's just massive.
I love it.
Yeah. Is there a spot in New York City that you love the most, or you just love?
I'm still exploring it.
Yeah.
Next time I go, I do want to go to a Broadway show. I know it's kind of like touristy, but I want to do everything, like all the New York stuff that you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I think you got to go do all the New York stuff that you're supposed to do, and then the next couple times, now you can kind of dig in because you've checked off those boxes. Also, like the Broadway show, it's touristy, but they're also awesome. So you should definitely go.
Yeah. I have a couple of friends who are on Broadway.
Oh, really?
So I'd love to see them perform.
Oh,
as well.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So talk to me a little bit about like the 101 of Pretzel Prize. Like you mentioned, you don't have a physical shop. So talk to me like I am somebody who I'm very interested in purchasing your pretzels. Like how does it work? Talk to me about that.
Okay. I do pickups weekly. So I announce on Wednesday like what the flavor of the week, the special flavor is. And I begin taking orders for pickup on Friday nights. And that's kind of been my flow for it for a while. So yeah, every Wednesday I take orders, Friday are pickups, and then sometimes on Saturdays I do pop-ups.
Oh.
And it's usually at events. So I've done like record store day or
Okay.
the vintage shop or shows, or I've done them at Populous Cafe,
Yeah.
Harless, and Hugh.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe somebody that isn't aware of you can kind of stumble and like, oh,
Yeah.
I've discovered the best pretzels.
A lot of people find me that way
Oh.
through pop-ups. Like they'll just be wandering the town and see me,
Oh,
which is kind of cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about this. So here you are living in Portland, making the decision to come back to Bay City. Like, pandemic aside, I can imagine that on one level, you know that it's the right choice and that you want to be there for your family and support them, but also maybe a little bit nervous, like coming into a new community, especially because you were in
Yeah.
Portland for a decade. It's not like you were there for 6 months and
Yeah.
peace out. I hated it here. Like, it was a place that you loved, and so
Mhm.
that kind of lead to some nerves about coming into a new community. Can you talk to me about that? We were talking a little bit about falling into a group of friends earlier. So
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like I was in Portland my whole 20s.
Mm.
So I do kind of feel like I grew up there in a way.
yeah,
And it definitely felt like home. I didn't see my family that often, but all my friends there were my family,
Mhm.
So it was very scary moving back. I never thought I would move back to where I grew up,
Yeah.
And the first year was hard because it was the pandemic and I really couldn't go out. I lived with my mom during that time. She was very strict. Like, you're
Mhm.
not getting us sick. You're not going
yeah,
out.
Yeah.
So I really didn't meet anyone for almost a year. It was all very much just internet, like
Yeah.
talking to people.
Hi, I'm new here.
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, I did try to move back to Portland, and that's where I started Pretzel Prize. And then when I came back again, things were getting a little bit more lax, and I started going to coffee shops. It's where I met the majority of the first people. And just couple of people have introduced me to so many other creative,
Yeah.
interesting people. And now I feel really lucky. I have a really solid group of people in my life.
I love that part of your story because it really highlights the power that we all have to make somebody feel at home. Like listening to the podcast and the stories that we do, it can give people the impression like you're important if you're a business, and then that's not true. And here you are having this group of friends that really, I think in a beautiful way, kind of changed your life, because had you not met them, you would have been this girl from Portland that had moved during the pandemic and didn't meet anybody, and things are super weird. And I think we underestimate the power that we can have. Just be like, hey, you want to go grab a cup of coffee with somebody?
Yeah. It is cool because I feel like everyone I've become close with is super creative, and a lot of them do have their own businesses as well.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to bounce ideas off of each other and get advice from each other, and hang out at their shops.
Yeah.
And it's a very friendly community.
Having that community of creatives, how does that in turn help you as someone who is creative?
I do feel like we help brainstorm with each other a lot. I get a lot of my pretzel ideas with my friends, just talking about food, and then we're like, oh my God, we should do that. I think we all kind of help each other too. We try to promote each other's businesses and really
Yeah. I ran across this rule for creatives once. It's actually a really beautiful poster from I won't talk about the organization here, but it's this beautiful poster, like rules for creatives, and one of the rules on it was something about that your creative mind and your editing mind are two different things. And so if you're in create mode, you got to be in create mode because you've got to have that flow and that freedom and that ability to make mistakes. And the edit mode comes in after. It's like, okay, now I can look and say what is good, what is not, what it can be approved, what I have to throw out. And I think about that, like having a community of creative people is like surrounding yourself with that creative brain.
Mm-hmm.
The business part is the editing part. It's like, okay, that feta cheese, onion, candy corn, chocolate syrup combo was not great. It was fun at the time making it. Nobody's going to buy it, so I need to cut that out. But at the time, it's really creative because it can lead to something. And I think what I found is like community creatives, you got to find a wingman, wingwoman, wing whoever, 2 or 3 or 5 of them, because one, it gives you a sense of friendship and a community that you need, but at the same time, it gives you this kind of playground to play and experiment and be inspired. Whereas if you just are fully in the business community, it can over time kind of wear you down because you're just like, I need to make money, but you also want to have fun and you never really get to scratch that itch.
That's true. Sometimes I can be very introverted and will isolate myself for a little bit, and I'll come up with a lot of business ideas on my own or ways of doing certain pop-ups. And sometimes I think I'm so like in my head about it, and then I'll like have coffee with my friends and we talk it out, and it changes my perspective too. And it helps me so much. Like, oh, I'm so glad I talked to them because I wouldn't have ever thought of doing it that way.
That's one of the biggest takeaways from this work for me is you sit down and you, of course, learn so much from somebody else. Like they're coming to you from a completely different experience with a different story, different ideas, and you can learn so much from them. But then also just the act of talking to another person, I'll find myself saying things as like, oh, that's a great idea, simply because the environment created this idea. So I love that encouragement. Like, no, I sit down and I can feel confident about an idea. I can get it tweaked by somebody who's like, that's almost there. What about this? And boom, there's your next French onion pretzel.
That's so true.
I love it. So if somebody is saying, okay, Phil, stop talking, let me buy your pretzels, where can people contact you?
The easiest and probably best way is on Instagram at Pretzel Prize. I'm also on Facebook under the business name Pretzel Prize. You can also email me. I'm not very great at checking my email. I try.
Send a message on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, those would be the best ways, I'd say.
Awesome. Chloe, Pretzel Prize. Thank you so much. I just want to eat every single one of them.
Do it.
Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Phil.
Cut. You're awesome.
Yay. Thank you.
You're awesome. That was fun.